Okay, same place as before, and now we have Pat Metheny with us. Pat, you just finished a great concert. How does it feel to finish a good concert? When you feel, I've done it.
You know, it's funny because as years go by, it's all one big concert for me. Even when I'm not playing, if I'm just kind of hanging out, it's not even about playing anymore. It's just kind of like, you know, just kind of being on earth and sort of enjoying each moment as it's happening. And that's really what I try to do. You know, playing or not playing, it's kind of the same, you know, and if there's a lot of people there or there's nobody there, you know, it's all just kind of part of what it is to be here. So I try to enjoy all of it as best I can for what it is.
A good answer. Tell us something about the starting. Tonight you played with Gary Barton. How come that you met him? You were both in Berkeley. He was a teacher and you were a student, right? No, it's not right, exactly like this.
Nothing at all like that. That's like one of those mythological stories that has absolutely no basis in fact.
So tell us the truth.
Okay, the truth is that Gary's band for me was probably the most important band of the late 60s, and I followed their music very closely, particularly starting from the record Duster, Lofty Fake Anagram, the Gary Burton Quartet live in concert, all the way through Country Roads and Other Places. Those four records to me really defined a sound and a way of thinking about music that is in fact still really fertile territory. And there was an occasion, you know, I started playing around Kansas City when I was really young. I was about 14 and played all through high school with great musicians, and started to play on a festival in Wichita, Kansas every year called the Wichita Jazz Festival. I had already started teaching at the University of Miami when I was 18, and when I got out of high school, I went to Florida. They offered me this teaching job, so I was a teacher there, and I got a call to come back and play on the Wichita Festival from Miami, with the idea being that Gary Burton was going to be there. He was going to be playing solo. He wasn't bringing a band because he didn't have a band, and maybe I could play a couple tunes with Gary, because they knew that I loved Gary, the Wichita people. So I did. I came from Florida, played a couple tunes. You know, I was introduced to Gary, who, you know, like me too, it's like I meet musicians all the time. And, you know, it was sort of arranged that we would play, and he asked me what I wanted to play, and I picked a couple of his tunes that were really hard, weird tunes. And I could see he was skeptical that I really knew them. And then when I could play them, that's what we wound up playing. And so, you know, we talked and played a couple quartet tunes that day. As it happened the next summer, which this would have been the summer of 1973, he was teaching on a jazz festival camp that I also was asked to teach on, because I was, as I mentioned, teaching at the University of Miami. He heard me play more, I think was interested in me as a possible member of his band, and then offered me a job to teach at Berkeley, because I was already kind of experienced as a teacher. So I came to Boston, started teaching at Berkeley, and within a month or so, he offered me the job to play in his band. And then right after that, I started making records for ECM and so forth.
So things started.
Yeah.
So it was much more articulated, and it went step by step. It was like a slow meeting of personalities.
Well, and the main thing, it was all about the music and his band. It wasn't really about a student kind of thing.
Tell us something about your wonderful record with Charlie Hayden. Was it really recorded home? It looks like it's recorded sometimes, or some part of it in a kind of a home studio.
That one was not recorded at home. That one was recorded in a real studio, but it may as well have been at home because we were very relaxed. And Charlie and I have a very special relationship. We're real close friends, and yeah, I knew that. Yeah, and you know, we've always had a way of being together as musicians and also just as people. We have a lot in common that I think is not like anything else that either one of us experienced with any other musicians. And that record is a real testament to that.
Yeah.
So.
I love it, by the way. It's one of my first 10, if I want to take 10 records in a desert island, I take that one for my evenings.
It's funny, that record it's almost got the status of being sort of a cult record now. I mean, there are many, many people who feel that way, and maybe they don't even have any other record of mine or of Charlie's. They just have that one. And there's, a lot of people, I get lots of comments and letters and things from people about that record where they use it for when their kid is born or when somebody dies or when somebody's married. I mean, it's like a record that is really part of people's lives. And I think that's, when you have something like that you've contributed, it's a great feeling. And it's a special record for Charlie and I, too.
Last question. You went through, in the beginning of the 80s, you went through a very creative money. You had a great quintet with Paul Vertical, Lyle Mays, and everything. Do you ever think to do something with those guys again?
Well, I mean, Lyle and I still play together all the time. I mean, we're going on 30 whatever years, and, we're nearing the point where it's time to start, thinking about the group and, what has allowed the group to continue, at least from my perspective, and I think from the other guys too. I have so many other things I love to do. I mean, the last 3 years I've played here with 3 different bands, and maybe 4 different bands, since the group has played here. And for me, that's an essential part of it all. But also having these long breaks in between things makes us really understand and appreciate the group. But, Lyle and I we still have lots of stuff to talk about. Every time we get together, it's sort of like we have all this history, but it's really just like it was at the very beginning, which is it's a very serious kind of research area for us,
Something that we can start.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
Thanks a
Thank
lot,
you.
and really,
thanks to
we wish
everybody
you
at
the
the
best.
festival here. I mean, I really do feel it's a privilege to get the chance to play here so often, and it's something I never ever take for granted. Every time I come here, I go out and walk around because it is one of the most beautiful cities and one of the best festivals in the world, and I feel really lucky to keep getting invitations here. So thank you. Thanks to everybody.
Really,
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Be good.
I hope I made it not so boring
It
for
was
you.
great. Yeah. Thanks.